Hey, muscular gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. I am really excited about this episode because I am bringing on somebody who I met 7 years ago, absolutely changed my life, not only just as a man, but as an entrepreneur, as a father, so many things. Yes, I am bringing on my wife as a kind of a co-host, actually, but Bonnie Webb. She is unbelievable. She is a pastry chef. She makes high-end, unbelievable cakes and pastries for people in Colorado. And we actually owned a gym together. And that gym, we owned it for 11 years. And she jumped on as a partner with me for a long time. So we actually got to work together, which a lot of couples don't get to do. So we learned a ton about each other and how to work together and live in a harmonious life. No, we've had, just like every couple, we've gone through our ups and downs, but absolutely amazing. I adore her on every level. And so I had to bring her on the show. It's something I wanted to do from the get-go when I started the Muscular Gentleman podcast, because there's so many people that send DMs to me and emails and different things asking me questions about relationships, sex, advice, things like that. And it's just something that we have been working on for years and years. We both have life coaches to help us improve our relationship and our lives. And so I think that we have a lot of cool things to bring to the table. And she has some great sound advice and things that she can deliver that I thought would be fun for you guys, the listeners. So let's introduce her. I'm excited to have her on the show. She is absolutely gorgeous. So welcome her. This is Bonnie. Let's jump right in, guys.
Welcome to the Muscular Gentleman. Where we don't apologize for being men. Masculinity, sex, fitness, and attraction. Helping men reclaim their masculine edge, improve their sex life, get the body they've always wanted, and master their mindset to build a life worth living. This is the Muscular Gentleman. And now your host, Rustin Webb.
All right, gentlemen, this is going to be a fun episode because I have brought on the most gorgeous guest I could find now and forever. This is my wife, Bonnie. And I've been wanting to do this since I actually started this podcast. This is something I've wanted to do because of multiple reasons. One, men have so many questions around, A, what is the muscular gentleman? But B, also, how do I improve my life, my relationships, not just working out, not just eating healthy, but what are these ways that we can improve the relationships with our wives? Mm-hmm. And Bonnie and I have a life coach that we work with. So obviously we're not perfect, but we do have a lot of things that help us with our relationship, even with kids, all sorts of things. So this has been something I wanted to do, but I've also gotten a ton of questions from wives in my inbox on how do you do it with kids? How do you motivate your husband, or how does all these questions surrounding relationships and the muscular gentleman. So this is that episode that we're excited to bring to you guys. And I didn't really have to pressure Bonnie too much. So thank you for being here, babe.
You're welcome. I'd rather be on the other side of the camera, but
filming me. She films me a lot for the muscular gentleman. Okay, so let's dive in. We have multiple topics that we want to discuss, right? And one of the things that we can start with is kids. I have an 8-year-old that we have every other week. And Bonnie and I have her, as well as we both have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Yes. Little boys. They're wild.
Yeah. So we have our hands full. And so it's either 2 kids or 3 kids every other week. And that is a lot, obviously, when you have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. So discussing the connection between each other, our sex life. This is something that a lot of people ask. A lot of men, I think a lot of men get married, they have kids, and then they think that their sex life just has to be put on hold or gone forever, or right?
Yeah, well, that's what you're told, right?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get married. You're not going to have sex anymore. Or
right.
Kids are going to stop everything. So things obviously change for a while.
Definitely
ebbs
different.
And flows, but
it's different, but it doesn't have to be worse or bad or a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different. And it's what you do with your time, your connection between each other. But yeah, so let's jump into this.
Okay.
So we still have sex consistently, week after week after week, and it's not like a scheduled joke that you see on some of the movies where it's like, hey, you want to fit this in on Saturday morning, right? Like we have regular sex. So what are things that we do to make that work?
Well, it's definitely not as spontaneous as it was before kids. We still don't sleep through the night, so we're tired and things are definitely different. But I think the biggest thing that we do is throughout the day, we take the time to let each other know that we're thinking about each other. So we take a lot of time throughout the day to flirt and banter. If I'm doing the dishes, he'll come up and give me an embrace for 30 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. We leave each other little notes on our mirror in the bathroom with dry erase marker. Which,
gentlemen, be careful what you write on the mirror if you have kids. Our 8-year-old walked in and started to read something I had written her. And thankfully we stopped that. But yeah, careful what you write on your mirrors. But yeah, you can write all sorts of notes. And we leave each other little sticky notes, whether it's encouragement or even something sensual. It doesn't have to be over the top, but it's just something to let each other know that we're thinking about them.
Right. Yeah. So we're playful throughout the day. We flirt a lot. Again, just taking a moment out of our day to let our partner know that we are thinking about them. And, there are many times where we're not able to connect and be with each other in the evening, but we've had those moments during the day. And I just feel like that really helps us stay connected. And I feel loved by you, wanted by you, and vice versa. I just think that stuff is so important. That's one thing.
Well, and here's a tip for the men listening. Look, I don't flirt with her or banter with her to immediately go into sex, right? I don't smack her butt or do something cute or whisper something in her ear thinking that's going to lead to sex, either right then or even later. It's just part of the connection and kind of the sexual tension that we create between each other, and knowing it's an ongoing thing. So it's not like I'm going to have sex tonight and I'm going to do all these different things and it's just going to equal. It's not an equation, right? It's not this algorithm. It's just an ebb and flow of life, but it's there's an attraction that we have there for each other that like you can't really make up, right? You can't fabricate it. And so one, don't go at this as a method to have sex, right? It's just part of the, I guess, relationship that needs to be there. And sex is maybe I guess you could say a byproduct of that, but the seduction is ongoing, right? It might be a day and a half. It doesn't really matter. It's just part of reminding that person what they mean to you on a regular basis. Yeah. I think some guys do stuff kind of covertly too.
Yeah, expecting.
Right, with something. An expectation. And I think women can feel that.
For sure. So I think it helps that, we do this stuff consistently each and every day. So I don't feel pressured, because again, there are times where we have a lot going on, whatever the case may be logistically. And I don't feel like you're coming up to me with an advance and now I have to stop what I'm doing. There are times where we do stop because it works out with the kids, but
we have 30 minutes.
Yeah. You have to definitely get creative with kids, as you know, but, there's just no pressure. And I just constantly feel connected and loved on by you, which I think just helps with our intimacy overall.
Here's the masculinity part that I talk about with men in the program. And just for you guys listening, the masculine trait or characteristic that you're looking for within sex and even with kids is being assertive. If I'm assertive with you and I kind of say, hey, look, I'm forward. I don't, if I want to be with you, I express that. I don't beat around the bush. I don't try to say something, covertly, right? Yeah. And I just say, look, I want you. I want you. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but I express that with intent, right? And that assertiveness is really important as a man, that you are able to express that. At the same time, if it's not the right time or if it doesn't work, and I've noticed this just within our relationship, the more, if you're not in the mood, you're not in that space, the more I'm okay with that. And I just let it go, but continue to express where I am at and what I want. I feel like you're like, oh, now I'm kind of interested because there's not this neediness behind it. Right?
Sure. And it's nice to feel seen.
Right.
And to know that you are understanding that sometimes it just doesn't work out. And again, there's not this element of pressure,
Right.
and just understanding, we are in the thick of it with littles, and
yeah. And there's times where I've expressed a want or a need, like, hey, I really want you right now. Sorry, not a need, but a want. And you might be like, I'm not there right now. I'm this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, whatever, no big deal. And I've walked away, moving on to something else, and you'll come to me and go, well, now I want you, right?
Yeah.
So
it helps me because I kind of get stuck in my to-do list and stressing about everything I need to take care of with the kiddos. And sometimes those little reminders help me, like, okay, I can stop for a few minutes and enjoy some time with you and relax. And my to-dos will all be waiting for me.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's this non-reactive, when I'm non-reactive to your reaction to me, and that's the masculine side, right? That's the sturdy, stable man who's like, all right, no big deal, right? It's, am I going to throw a fit? Am I going to act all upset because we can't have sex when I want to? That's where I think a lot of men struggle and kind of fall short, is that, like they react, right, to a response from their woman, and it's all negative. They take it personally.
Sure. Well, I think, I've seen a lot of memes about it, or other, relationship coaches or whatever out there, and this discussion of men taking what they want. And it's, I think, a strong masculine man that can understand, my woman isn't here for my taking, for my pleasure. We have to meet in the middle and be on the same page, and knowing, like, sometimes it's just not going to work out. And that isn't a diss to me or whatnot. Like, it's just the way it is. And we can connect later. But I've seen so much stuff about, I'm going to take what I want and I can have her when I want her. And that's not how it works.
I think there is something to that within the masculine feminine energy where, I have this desire, this desire for you. I'm going to throw you over my shoulder and take you to my cave and make love to you and ravish you. Right there. I think that's desire from women. It's just, is the timing right?
Yes,
right?
You both have to be on the same page. And I think some people miss that, and they just think, well, you're my woman and I'm home from work, and now let's get it on.
Yeah. Yeah. Put the kids in the backyard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one way we stay connected. And for the men, it's being assertive, non-reactive, being there and present and seeing your woman where she's at. You've got to have that gentleman side, that respect for where she is at. And she's going to feel all those things. And that's where the response can take place in a positive way. But it is a constant bantering and teasing each other. I mean, we're laughing and playful all the time. I mean, just by passing each other in the house, she'll touch me in some way, just showing me that she's wanting me. And it's not like I have to think, it's right now. It's just, hey, look, let's let the tension build. And that's part of the experience and that magnetism that makes it great. And then it also helps make it one of those things where we want to do it a lot, consistently, because we build that tension.
Yeah. And I think some important things that we've learned through our life coaching, that are really relevant, for Rustin and I at this time in our lives, help from Rustin with things around our home really allow me to de-stress. And the way our life coach put it, for lack of a better term, it's opening me up. So it's opening up time for me, quote unquote, opening my legs. She just had no other way to put it.
Yeah.
But it allows me to relax.
In your feminine.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be in my feminine and open myself up for him later. So Rustin's so awesome about helping me with things around the house. We don't, say, these are my chores, these are yours.
Right.
We both take on things. I mow the lawn and our neighbor comes out all the time.
Yeah,
I was like,
why is she mowing the lawn?
Yeah.
I might be in the house doing the dishes.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So we share those duties, and it really helps me to de-stress and
well, one, you like to do the lawn because you can kind of escape from the boys. Our boys are very needy for mom, which is a really good thing. But yeah, men listening to this, don't subscribe any of the household chores to a gender, right? Or a masculine, feminine quality. They don't exist. I think that's a huge mistake people make. Oh, well, I'm a man. I need to man the grill and mow the lawn. It doesn't matter. These are just little things, and they don't add up to anything. They're just chores to get done. So what I tell men in the program, like, this is your domain. You need to take care of it as if you lived by yourself, right? Like if you were a single man and you lived in your own apartment, how would you take care of it?
Right.
You would do you do your laundry, you'd mop the floor, vacuum, all these things, like just do them in a marriage. I think some men get married and they think they can just like check off or check out.
Yeah.
Some of these things as if like, oh, my wife will take care of it.
Yeah, well, I work all day and my wife can handle it. Like we share everything. We both work from home.
Yep.
And our workloads change each and every day, but this is our communal home, right? We share it. It's our responsibility. So we take that on together. And that's something that's really attractive about him, is that he is willing to do the dishes, help me with the laundry. It's not the best at folding.
I might have shrunk some stuff.
But what I learned is it's done. May not be my way, but at least it's done, right?
Well, and this is that pressure that I think a lot of women have, is this to-do list that men can compartmentalize way better, right? And women have this ongoing checklist that's just like a hamster wheel.
Yeah, our mental load is...
Right. So if I can slow that hamster wheel down, if I can kind of like take care of my domain, you're going to have less stress and more likely to want to be intimate with me and things like that. So, those things are essential, I think, for a relationship, whether you have kids or not. Just take care of your house. Men have to be a part of that way more than I think we see. Yeah.
Well, and I have a little tip. If there's any females out there listening, any wives listening, I learned this through my life coach, and a great book to read is Keys to the Kingdom. Can't remember the author right now, but we'll put it
I don't
in the
remember
comments.
Her name.
Something that we learned, if your partner, your spouse does leave for work, or maybe they work downstairs in the office and then they're coming up at the end of the work day. What I know I tend to do, and a lot of women tend to do, is bombard your partner. Okay, you're home. Help me with the kids. Here's what happened today. Here's what else we need to do. And your man is just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this on right now. They need 20, 30 minutes to refill their testosterone, to recharge. And so allowing your partner to have a few minutes when they come home or they end the workday will make a big difference. They're literally refueling their testosterone so they can contribute to the house with the kids, be a loving partner. So just take that into consideration. Don't think they're trying to avoid you or get out of relieving you with the kids. It's just a difference between masculine and feminine. Yeah.
So. And it doesn't even, a lot of times it's like 5 minutes,
sure,
it's like, just give me 5 minutes to just be in my headspace and like kind of let it, but then, I think men are able to be more present after that, just whatever that
you need to recharge.
Recharge. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be 20, 30, but anything can help. And it is nice because there's this feeling of respect to knowing that I'm a man versus a woman. It's like, wow, you see me in that space. And that's really good for men to feel seen by their wives as well. Because then the man's like, okay, now, I want to see her. Right. And back and forth. It's not like one has to take place before the other. But let's talk about, we're still on sex here, but let's talk about muscles. I know this is crazy, but this is the muscular gentleman. We talk about muscles. I have been bombarded by wives, messaging how badly they want their men in my program. There is a desire for a muscular man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the foundational thing is the most important. So taking care of yourself, exercising and eating well, so many benefits to that, right? That we don't need to go into. And then a 6-pack is really just the cherry on top, but it's totally possible. But having a partner that takes care of themselves for themselves, for their family. So they have the energy, they have the confidence to be a provider, to be a protector, all of those things.
100%.
Yeah. And so let's say you don't have the 6-pack, right? But you still are eating right, taking care of yourself. You're still going to have that confidence, better energy than if you're just.
Yeah. Well, and just the muscle alone, people think it's all aesthetics. It's not, it's the strength. Like there's so many benefits that are non-aesthetic as far as lifting weights on a consistent basis. You're living life better. You can do things around the house easier. You can play with the kids longer. I mean, it's endless. But just from a sexual attraction standpoint, there's studies out there that they literally, I think it was like 9,000 women they surveyed, and it was like a skinny guy, a muscular guy, and then like a massive guy. And it was like an overwhelming response. It was 80% plus they picked the muscular guy.
Right.
And there's just something immediately attractive about that. You know, if I was 50 pounds overweight, if we're being honest, would I be as attractive as I am right now to you?
No, I mean, and of course I would obviously still love you,
Right,
but
of course.
the attraction would be different. I just feel like it shows that you are committed, you're determined, you can actually achieve something, you can accomplish
Right.
something. When to obtain a six pack, it is hard work. It's obviously doable, but it shows that you can commit and stick to something and accomplish something, which I think are great characteristics.
Right. And this is that masculine trait, discipline. That is a masculine trait. Being disciplined is showing, you know, your willingness to do the hard stuff. Your willingness to, I guess, not chase pleasure first, right? You're choosing a purpose. You're choosing to do something that's hard, and that's attractive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So men listening, if you're not lifting weights and eating healthy, you got to start doing it. I mean, especially if you're complaining about your sex life or you're and it's true. It'll immediately change your attraction level just by losing that fat and getting stronger.
Absolutely. And it helps your partner as well. I know, Rustin is far more disciplined with his fitness and nutrition than I am. But when he's on track, it helps me immensely to stay on track. I went to culinary school for baking and pastry, so I love sweets, and he does as well, of course, but I need his help sometimes. And obviously I have to do it for me.
Yeah.
But when he's on track, it helps me. So you can help each other.
Yeah. And men, that's where these are just all these masculine traits falling through. Leadership, right? Being the leader in your own diet and setting the example. It motivates you, but it probably creates some attraction as well there.
Absolutely.
Just being in that leadership role of like, hey, look, I got to eat healthy. If you're off track or if you feel, the sweet tooth, it's like, if I can be that like solid, sturdy man who's like, no, well, I got to eat like this. Do you want to? It can be motivating too. Right.
And it's nice because you'll meal prep. Even if I'm not on track at the time, you're meal prepping, making your own food. And so it's like, you're taking care of yourself. You don't need me. And it allows me to focus on the kids and other things that I need to do. And I don't have to worry about, what am I going to make my husband for dinner? I need to make him something other than what the kids are eating.
Men listening, this is huge what she just said. You do not want to be another child in the house. Okay, you don't need your wife to cook for you. I don't know what that's for. I think it's from like the 50s or I don't know. But there's this mindset for even some of the older men I work with in their 50s and stuff. Like, my wife makes me food. Why? Like,
I've never seen my dad cook anything. I'm always cooking.
But there's, right, you just said it. You don't feel like I'm this needy person that you have to take care of, right? Like, I'm there for you and we're there for each other. But when you can take care of yourself and like we talked about earlier, maintain your domain, but also your health. Not that she doesn't cook for me, because you're amazing at it. She cooks all the time. But I cook for myself regularly. We meal prep together. We've gotten into a nice rhythm there. We meal prep with the foods that I teach and the meal prepping I teach in the Muscular Gentleman.
Side note on that. That's another little area, something fun. When the kids go to bed, a lot of times we will meal prep. And so he'll just wear an apron, or sometimes I will. So you just have to get creative and try to have fun with it. So it's like, this is part of our routine. We got to make our food right, but let's have fun and have a little playful time together.
Gentlemen, I was putting my son to bed. I came downstairs and Bonnie's in just an apron meal prepping. And of course that started some stuff, but that's the fun bantering that we are able to do. Yeah, we still have these little kids, but we can't look, they're all in bed. Let's open up some time to be playful and fun.
While getting something done.
Right. But the meal prepping is huge. I think that makes a big difference for people. So many parents, I think, food is a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the coming and going, all the extracurricular activities. And it's nice because our kids will actually eat the meal prep.
Yes.
So the vegetables, the lean protein, and, we'll throw in, a fun carb for the kids, mac and cheese or whatever. But a lot of times they'll eat the rice or sweet potatoes. So it's definitely a time saver. And there are ways that you can make it work for you, the parents, and your children as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. The apron idea just gave you a good idea if you haven't done it. But, and again, this comes back to working out consistently, eating healthy, where you feel confident in your own skin. I can't tell you how fast men in my program within weeks are like, I feel 10 times more confident that since I've started your program.
Yeah. And the feedback from their wives.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm seeing my man in the kitchen for the first time and he's cooking for me. So it's so cool.
I got an email from a lady that said, I haven't seen my husband in the kitchen in 13 years. And now he's buying like equipment for the kitchen. Mm-hmm. He's cooking, you know, and it was this attractive thing for her. Mm-hmm. And he was able to say, yeah, like there was a great response from that. So that's a big one. And I can't tell you how important it is for men. If you don't cook, I teach all of that stuff. It's all in video. It's so easy. I mean, I break everything down as easy as I can. So meal prep's big. Food is big. Let's talk about our boys, raising our kids. And Soph too, our daughter, we're raising her in a certain way. But this is a subject that gets brought up a lot is this day and age, society. We won't get too political here, right? Yeah. But raising your kids in this kind of landscape is different. And kind of, I think there's a lot of parents out there, a lot of moms that are maybe afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 little boys, white males, right? And right now that's kind of a hot topic and something that's scary. And currently we're going back and forth on should we homeschool or not. So that's a whole other Oprah, but yeah. So I think it's great that Rustin is leading by example for our boys. So he always opens my car door. There's just these little things that we're trying to instill in our little guys that they already notice. Our little 3-year-old holds the garage door open for us now every time we come in from the garage. So trying to teach them to be little gentlemen and what did you say? Assets, not?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's so many parents out there listening to this. You have to have the mindset that you want your kids to be an asset to the world, not a liability. You can't go through life just skating through with them, letting them watch you kind of, I guess, be in survival mode. I think so many kids watch their parents in survival mode, and we're probably in survival mode because our parents were in survival mode, and it just keeps getting passed down. Mm-hmm. If you want to change all that, it's like for us, we talk about this, like we want to be a power couple. We want to influence our kids to where they're impacting the world in this positive way, which I think, you know, is an expression of the muscular gentleman. But yeah, I want my sons and my daughter, I want our kids to be assets to the world. What can they bring to the table? Because now they have purpose. They're not a liability. They're not just seeking pleasure, which is video games, junk food. Mm-hmm. Once they get to certain ages, right? It's just, you know, chasing girls, all these different things, whatever. But I want them to have way more purpose than that, right? You know, than just having fun, which I think a lot of parents struggle with. It's like, how do I entertain them all the time? And how do I make life fun all the time? And how many toys can I buy them when there's so much deeper things to live for and for them to learn?
Right. I think we're in a unique situation where we are entrepreneurs. So they see us working from home, working towards so many different goals and not just working for the man. So like we just built a lemonade stand for Sophia. And so we're out trying to teach her little best friend and the boys even, you know, the cost of the lemonade stand. So they're having to earn enough money to pay us back for the lemonade stand, pay for their supplies, their materials. So the cups, the lemonade, the ice. So there's so many teaching moments. And I think trying to teach them things that they're not necessarily going to learn in school has been really big for us as well. So not just learning how to be a good employee, but maybe go out and achieve things for yourself.
Yeah. And then as they continue to feel those, I guess, desires to do things in life, it's like, let's help show you how to do that. You know, how capable you can be to do these different things that you might want to chase after. And I think too, you know, there's a lot of parents that are like, you know, go to school, get good grades, go to college, and then get a good job. And not that that's not bad. It's just, are you really opening them up to having a deeper purpose?
Right.
Yeah. And I say this all the time. I even said in the last podcast, like, I don't want my kids to think that they have to work a 9 to 5, collect as many toys as possible, and then they die. Because if they watched us do that, they'd be like, what's the point of life? You know, there's so much more. So, yeah.
More. And I think with boys right now, we're trying to teach our boys that it's okay to cry and be upset, but trying to express their emotions in a more productive way. But, we're not doing the boys don't cry, man up, don't be a sissy.
Yeah, don't be a mama's boy.
Yeah. So
I want my boys to be mama's boys, at this age. This is where they fall in love with the feminine. I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's so critical for this part of our young boys. They're 2 and 3, but this is where they do fall in love with the feminine. This is where they find a comfort and love for that nurturing side, that soft, loving side. And so that, to act like they don't need their mom is so weird. And to use that term mama's boy drives me crazy. It's actually a positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I'm here, right? I'm here to show them the masculine side, the disciplined side. And, I'm not afraid to step in and show them responsibility. And even at 2 and 3, we have to balance each other there.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yes, we do. It's hard. They're my little babies.
Yeah.
I'm a little soft sometimes and don't always follow through, right? When I ask them to stop doing something. So you definitely help me.
And I'll be more strict or disciplined, where she has to soften me up and be like, hey, they're 3. It's okay. And so there's this balancing act where I might want to put them in timeout for something maybe that's not as big of a deal that it should be. Right. So then you're, you stepping in saying, hey, let's give them a pass on this one.
Right.
So, but that is such a beautiful thing where that masculine, feminine work together. And there's this ebb and flow of balance that I think kids need so badly.
Absolutely.
They need both so badly.
I agree. So I have to bring this up. It was just last night. We were talking with Sophia, and her little best friend was over and talking about how their crushes are in their class this year. And Soph's little friend said, well, if boys are mean to you, that means they like you. And so right away I was like, oh my gosh, stop. So maybe.
Did she say where she heard that?
No, she just said it. Yeah. I remember thinking that when I was young as well. And maybe in elementary school years that
maybe really early,
you can get by with that. But that's definitely something that I don't want Sophia to grow up believing. And I certainly am not going to let our boys grow up thinking it's okay to be mean to anyone, but to girls, and think that that's how you express your feelings. Yeah, absolutely not. So I definitely think that there's so many teaching moments and things that we're learning along the way.
Sure.
But opportunities to show a masculine man, a muscular gentleman is not mean. They're playful. They're flirtatious. They're respectful. There's a difference.
Yeah. Teasing is a great thing. Right. And being playful in that sense with that bantering, I think helping your daughter and your boys learn the difference between being mean and bantering and teasing.
Right.
Because I think it's kind of a fine line, right? You can banter and move into being mean, on accident. Right. So, but helping them understand that's huge, because
setting boundaries. We have to talk about that with the little boys all the time, overstepping their older sister's boundaries. So it was just a great moment for Sophia and her friend to talk about boundaries and what respect looks like and what you should expect from a partner. And so that segues into you with Sophia. You take her on dates. Valentine's Day at school, you bring her a rose. You're trying to show her, you're trying to lead by example what a man, a boyfriend, a potential spouse should look like.
Right. How should you be treated? And two, and this is to all the men out there listening, I think it's really important as a muscular gentleman, as a man trying to be the best version of yourself. If you want your kids to feel that energy and that power that you can bring to the table, every time I see my daughter, when I pick her up at school, or when I see my boys from school or whatever it is, I get down as low as I can to the ground to their level and I give them a huge hug. But I don't make them come up to me, right? I meet them where they're at. And that's the man, right? You meet them, you meet your woman where they're at, and you meet your kids where they're at. And so I'll always try to get down low and give them that hug from their space, not making them come up to me, right? Because I have the strength to do it. And that's kind of a metaphorical thing, but it is important. Just those little things add up for them to kind of feel your presence. I play with them on the trampoline. I mean, I play with them all the time. But it's like, meet them where they're at. Don't make them meet you where you're at. Like, don't make your kids have to work for your love, and things like that. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that.
You're a great dad.
But so, okay, let's jump into some masculinity stuff. This is just a question for you. Okay. And this is maybe something for the women listening too, but what is a masculine trait that you would find that maybe I am able to do? Look, side note, I am always striving to be a muscular gentleman. I'm not the muscular gentleman. I'm just striving to be that. And that's kind of the purpose of the program. And I'm a work in progress. So working on my masculinity, always trying to develop those different characteristics. But what might be something that's helpful for men listening, that is helpful to you, that I can bring to the table from a masculine standpoint?
Let's see. I feel like something that just in our day to day, your decisiveness. I feel like that's so helpful for me. Again, moms out there with these long to-do lists and constantly making decisions for their littles. And it's just nice sometimes to have you step in and help, because I know what I don't want usually, but it's harder for me to decide what I do want. So, like the little thing of like, what should we have for dinner? I feel like your decisiveness is so great, and your understanding of the differences between masculinity and femininity. So I'll ask you, what do you want for dinner?
Uh-huh.
Or you ask me actually. Yeah. And I always say, I don't know. What do you want? And it's like, everyone deals with this, right? But you'll throw out a suggestion, and usually I say no.
Yep.
And you don't get upset. You just move on to the next suggestion, and you just help me through the process of elimination, like figure out what I actually want. And I feel like that's so helpful, and we come across that all the time. So I just think that is so helpful. And again, that you're patient, that you don't take offense. Like, why'd you ask me if you're just going to say no to everything? Because I do say no, but.
And you're speaking to not just dinner, right? Like, even so, Bonnie is a baker. She makes incredible cakes, like insane cakes. Bonnie Ray Bakes on Instagram. There's a plug. No, but you'll even ask me, like, what do you think of this color, or what do you think of this design? Mm-hmm. Let me give men some tips. This has helped me anyway, and I think you are kind of alluding to this as something helpful for you. But I literally just tell her my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't try to cater to your opinion or placate to, I need to say what I think she's going to like.
Yeah.
I just have my own opinion.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. And then I express that to her, and she will either take it for what it's like, disagree or disagree, but it's helping her just know what I think. Mm-hmm. And that's something I think that men need to do better at, because, you might ask, and if I'm like, I know she loves the color yellow, and I know this, so I'm going to tell her this answer as if it's going to do something for you.
There's times where it just, again, I'm so indecisive, and there's so many options with anything anymore. And so you help me narrow things down. Sometimes I just need another opinion to help me really finalize what I was actually thinking. Sure. Just help me get there.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're patient. And sometimes I don't like what you have to say, and I take offense to, but it's just, we help each other, and
but it's so much more real than, that looks great. Or I really loved your dish that you just made. And deep down, it might have not tasted right or something, or
what?
But that honesty goes so much further than, always pretending or faking it or lying, right? And I think that's a deeper level of trust and intimacy to build for your sex life too, right? And that attraction of, look, he is a strong man and he's got independent of thinking. So independence is huge. That's a masculine trait. Decisiveness is a huge masculine trait, but the independence of thought of others, right? So I have to be independent and just tell you what I think. Mm-hmm. I don't say it mean. No. I use tact, right? There's a way of saying things. So gentlemen, don't just say something and it come off rude, right? Like there's a way
do I look fat in this? That's what it means.
Sure. Yeah. And we've talked through different things about that, where it's like, I'm honest, like about whatever it is. Right. But you
can still be respectful.
Totally be respectful of how you answer it. It's the gentleman side of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So decisiveness is a good one. Let's talk about really quickly on the feminine side, because I think that women struggle with this sometimes. Well, a lot of times. Okay. So Bonnie's an entrepreneur, and you totally put on masculine traits to run your business and even to take care of the kids in the house, things like that sometimes. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, obviously within business, I have to be able to make decisions. I have to be a little bit more decisive and I
Right.
have to be assertive.
Hmm.
If somebody in my industry, people don't want to pay what they're paying for cakes. They want a Walmart price, but they want these luxury custom cakes. And so very easily I could lose out on so much money when people give pushback on pricing.
Hmm.
So I definitely have to wear a more masculine hat there. And with our two little boys, they are obviously unruly and trying to learn boundaries and figure out what they can and cannot do. And so if I didn't put on my assertive hat, my decisive hat, my disciplinarian hat, our house would be destroyed even more than it already is.
So this is, I think, some confusion for people, and I've written a post on this before, but for those first listening and kind of hearing all these masculine traits that I keep bouncing out, it doesn't mean a woman shouldn't be able to do these traits, have these traits, or exude these qualities. So masculinity is more of an energy and a characteristic that you can take on, and you can take it off, right?
Mhm.
And so, if you're a CEO or an entrepreneur, or just you work, or you're a mom, like a single mom or whatever, there's so many things that where masculinity has to take place. You just have to put on this energy and do it.
Mhm.
But within a relationship, here's where the difference sets in. Can you take it off and fall into your feminine with your man? Because if you're not taking it off and you stay in your masculine, the attraction doesn't get to take place, right? If you stayed in your masculine after working or being with the kids and being in that state, and you can't take it off, and I'm trying to be masculine, we're just going to bump into each other and demagnetize the relationship, right?
Yeah, and we learned when we fight, a lot of times what ends up happening is you move into your feminine,
Yep.
I move into my masculine, and that makes it harder for us to work through whatever the issue may be.
And that's not just us. This is super common for couples, all couples too, where the man falls into his more feminine energy and the woman steps into a more masculine role in an argument, right?
Yeah.
And that's something we've had to learn over time.
Yeah, still working on it.
Always, yeah. But how could we give them kind of examples? So like a masculine, so masculine is more logic and reason. Feminine is more emotional. So in an argument, maybe I get too emotional about something and you might step in and push into more of a logical or reason state, right? And so it gets kind of confusing and convoluted with where we're trying to go with this argument.
Right.
When we both have to just, typically a lot of everyone kind of just, take space, take a second, take a breather, and think through it. But
yeah, and what we learned is obviously take a few minutes to let things de-escalate and
get your heart rate down. Let those things,
and then make sure you're giving your partner positive intent.
Yep.
They're never trying. You're not ever trying to get in a fight, right? So it's typically a misunderstanding, a miscommunication, and so trying to put myself in his shoes and try to think of where he might be coming from, and then you trying to think, okay, she's probably in a little bit more of an emotional state as a female, and how can I be that oak tree and stay steady for her? You
just nailed it.
Yeah.
So the man in an argument, how can you be? Look. If I can be the masculine in the argument and just be stable and strong and be there, just be present, and she's in her emotional state, maybe it's an emotional, I'm using the quotations for those listening, but the emotional storm maybe, and just allow that to happen and take place. The more I can just listen and let her, I guess, unload that emotional state and be present without reacting to it, the faster we move through that argument, right?
Yeah.
And the more you feel heard, and the more I just end up using my strength. I mean, look, that's what it's there for. But we both feel heard in those spaces when we're able to do that.
Yeah. When you stay in your masculine, I stay in my feminine. I feel like we can absolutely see each other better.
Yeah. Here's the thing, gentlemen listening. Your job is to stay in your masculine, be strong. We talk about this in the Muscular Gentleman, but you're trying to be an oak tree. You're trying to be, you can't be moved by her storm. You're just there. You might sway, your branches might sway a little bit, but you're steady and you stay strong in that space. When she feels that energy, that strength, her feminine storm starts to calm down. And then the next thing you know, she's leaning against that tree, that oak tree, and falling into her feminine even more. Right. So it's kind of crazy because we get into these arguments where you might get emotional and I might get emotional. And then all of a sudden it's two feminine energies reacting. And then it just creates more of a headache.
Absolutely.
I know we just moved into arguing from masculine, feminine energy, but it's a good segue here. Arguing, I read about that I thought was really helpful was arguing really comes down to each of us bartering to become the victim, right? We're both just fighting to be the victim. Like, no, you did this and I'm the victim. And you're going, no, you did this and I'm the victim. And that's what a ton of arguments end up becoming, right? It's just bartering to become the victim. And I can say this with certainty, understanding masculinity more and more now that I've created this program and things like that. A masculine man doesn't barter to be a victim. He's not a victim. You can't be the victim. You're a product of your decisions, and your circumstances are there based on your actions and what you're deciding to do. So bartering to become the victim is not going to get you anywhere. And so there's a way to handle, you can have your feelings hurt. There's things that can happen, but how you handle that is staying out of the victim mentality in that state, or especially bartering for it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the sympathy from your feminine woman like you think you are. It's not worth it. It's like she'll find you so much more attractive and so much more. She'll see that strength more when you handle it differently. And I've done this a lot, gentlemen. So don't act like I've bartered to be the victim, right? And it doesn't usually work out too well.
No, it doesn't. It is hard when you go into a really emotional state. Not to say that you can't have feelings, and you have times where we're going through a tough time, and you have an emotional moment, and understanding that. But when you're in a fight, it's harder when you move into the feminine. Yeah.
Yep, it is harder. So that's just some kind of good advice I think that men could take from this is, how do you stay in your strength? And this is something we teach in the program, but staying strong in that space it's hard, and you have to work for it, but it makes a huge difference for sure. So I have to ask you this, because I ask all my people this, and there's so many more things we could talk about, but what is your definition of a muscular gentleman?
Okay. Let's see. Well, I would say, all the things that your previous guests have said, right? You're a provider, you're a protector, all those things. But I think something that's been left out that is important, I kind of addressed it with our little ones, is that it's okay for a muscular gentleman to have a moment of quote unquote weakness, even though it's not weakness, to be nervous about something, to be scared, to feel sad, or to just not have a plan, to not have it all figured out. But I think what makes a man a muscular gentleman in those moments is that you don't give up, you don't dwell in that space, right? You feel it, you work through it, and then you move on. So you continue to push forward, even if you don't have it all figured out. You're still scared, but you still show up every day. You're leading by example, and you're going to figure it out no matter what it takes. I feel like that's my definition.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. And that's, look, this is probably the pressure society has created on men. One, there's this negative connotation toward masculinity, which is just a problem in and of itself. But two, we put so much pressure on ourselves as men to be so highly successful and be perfect and not make any mistakes. Having a partner where you can take a moment and like you were saying, I'll take a moment, right? And I'll feel maybe defeated in some area of my life, or just feeling frustrated. There's nothing wrong with taking that moment. But then after that moment, this is what's nice about the feminine, and where you can really, the more masculine you are, the more feminine she can be, but you need that feminine energy in your life. So there's times where you bring that loving, nurturing side in my moment, and man, does it make me want to step up and be more masculine. And so men, don't rely on your woman, right? You want to be that oak tree for her, but man, can she come to your aid and breathe some life into you? That is so, but again, this only This only works if you're in your masculine and you can live that out on a regular basis. Like if you're just in your feminine, and she's not going to bring much to the table because she's having to step up and be the masculine for you. So this only works. It's kind of like the meal planning I teach with men. Like a cheat meal only works if you've been eating clean on a consistent basis. So the similar concept, you might have a moment of need, and I shouldn't say need, but just weakness, and allowing her to see that's not a bad thing. Allowing her to see that space and come to you and be there for you, I think is kind of a really empowering part of the relationship, to feel that from your woman.
Yeah. It's okay for you to not be perfect and not have it all figured out.
Right.
And I support you regardless, what we're going through. And just, I think it's so important for you to feel like you can have that moment and you're not going to be judged or seen as you're weak, you're a sissy or whatever.
Sure.
Always here for you.
Babe. So this is what's really cool about the masculine feminine. Well, one, we talked about arguing. Real quick, this before I forget this, but with arguing, a lot of mistakes I see with men, and something I've even done myself, is we get into an argument and we're like craving the woman to see it logically and see it in the masculine way, and she's feminine. So me begging her to be in this masculine state might literally overturn the argument into where she moves into a masculine state, into a logical state. You switch over to the emotional and it causes all these issues. So in an argument, one, be the masculine man, stay strong, but two, don't try to convince her or like it's just not even worth trying to argue and pull you into a place where you need to see it exactly the way I see it and agree with me on all these things. So there's a lot of times where in our arguments where we literally just go, you know what, we're not going to see eye to eye on this, and that's okay. I think couples go round and round and round until they think the other one's going to eventually just give in and see it their way. And that just creates more of a headache and a longer, an elongated session of arguing, which is so much energy lost to do better things with your day. So stop yourself and ask yourself, women too, are you trying to make him emotional with you? Like, are you trying to suck him in to that emotional state and kind of jab at him? Or men, are you trying to pull them into this maybe logic state that they're not going to see as well as, so at some point you just have to stop and just agree to disagree, and
but
that's
also, we've learned that when you really look at the issue at hand, you're usually not mad about something. It's usually a place of fear that you're coming from with your emotions or whatnot. So if you can just be more in tune with yourself and a better communicator, oftentimes it's fear. Yeah. It's not even anger.
Yep.
It's hurt and fear.
Yep. No, that's good. So that, and then the feminine qualities that we can bring out with women, and that women can actually just learn to, I guess, express more often or be in those states more often with their men being masculine. Sometimes women have been in their masculine state for so long, and sometimes from a mechanism of safety, right? So like Bonnie, well, we both grew up in some abusive things from our upbringing, but I think you learned to be masculine out of a protection, from what you saw with your father. Yeah.
So just closing off, shutting down. So just not even allowing all of that heavy negative stuff, to kind of infiltrate. Right. So I would just shut off,
block. Yeah.
And so sometimes, we see that when we argue, I just kind of shut down.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so even moving on from arguing, just the masculine. So how would you say, like, what helps you move away from your masculine state? Like, what are things that can take place between us that helps you fall more into your feminine? Well, you said decisiveness earlier. That was a good one.
Sure, yeah. Well, just feeling seen, feeling safe, knowing that you are kind of being steady, that oak tree, and allowing me to feel my emotions is just helpful. Knowing that you're not going anywhere, right? You're always this constant, this steady thing. So
yeah. I think that's huge. Like I said earlier, I know we're not trying to talk about arguing, but just being present, even outside of an argument, showing that presence is big. So here's an example. I work at home a lot, and you'll come to me to try to kind of talk to me in the middle of me working on something. Always. It's always when I'm in the middle. No, but how, what does it feel like when I stop, pause whatever I'm doing, turn to you, give you that attention and show kind of a strength of, okay, I'm here. Like, talk to me.
I feel special. Truly.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause, I mean, obviously there's always so much to do, right? Everyone has so much to do. And, you know, in these moments where I'm feeling like I need to share something with you and you are like, okay, are you needing my attention? Are you needing a minute?
Yeah.
And you just totally stop what you're doing and give me undivided attention. And it's nice because everyone's always go, go, go. And so just makes me feel important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might be something that the guys listening can take from this is, don't shut them down all the time. There might be something where I have a deadline and I'm like, I'm stressed, but I'll explain myself, you know? And that's more like when I'm like, I need your help.
Yeah.
Right. But, men, turn to your woman, you know, stop whatever you're doing. It's not going to be more important than her and that relationship you have with her. Stop what you're doing and turn toward her, show intent, right? And then give her that moment. It doesn't have to be long, right? A lot of times when you want to talk to me, it's not long.
No.
And this is how real this podcast is. One of our kids just woke up from their nap while we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. The timing of this has been great. But yeah, we're going to have to go get one of our kiddos. But yeah, so turning toward them is huge. But I think, you know, all these things were really good and we'll definitely need to do another one. But I've been wanting to have you on the show for a while. These are all sorts of, I think, fun tips and helpful things to think about for men and women in their relationships, right? To become that power couple that you want to become, and kind of become the best version of yourselves. But it definitely starts with your health, right?
Absolutely.
It starts with eating well together. It starts eating well as the man, being the leader and eating healthy. I can't tell you how many women have written me wanting their men to get involved in this program. Men, your job is to be the leader and step up and start eating healthy, not your wife begging you to go eat healthy. Like that's not what you want as a, I guess, byproduct of you living your life.
Right. Just a little thing. Men, if you see your wives are liking his posts, they might be the lady that has written in. So
I get a lot of women are more likely to like and love and comment on my posts than men are. Men are more likely to DM me privately and talk to me about what they need. But yeah, pay attention. Your wife might be liking my stuff and not me, just what I'm putting out to help men. Yeah.
And if you feel like something in your relationship is lacking in your sex life, just your connection, take a look at what you're doing or what you're not doing and don't necessarily blame it on your wife, right? Maybe she is feeling like she's your mother and that's not attractive. I don't know of anyone that's attracted to their children, right? So think about that. So just take a moment. Obviously, women, we have our own things to work on and can improve on. But men, if you feel like something's lacking, look inward.
Yeah.
Look for help.
If you're struggling with your sex life, don't look at her. Look at yourself. Like hands down, you're the solution to that problem, and you can make something amazing out of it. And it takes time, right, to build the body and the health, but man, do a lot of the men have an immediate response? I mean, within weeks.
Oh yeah. Immediately.
Yeah. One of our guys, my wife's grabbing my butt all the time. We're having more sex than we ever had. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of things that build on this that create.
You don't have to have the 6-pack to increase the attraction. Like obviously that's icing on the cake and comes over time. But these men, like you said, are seeing a difference in their relationships immediately. So taking care of yourself, taking care of your domain, that's a game changer. And it's going to help your wife open up and see you in your masculine, allow her to be in her feminine. And it creates this polarity. And that's what I think so many people are missing.
Yes. I know we bounced around here. Sex, the best sex you'll ever have, right, is when you and I have created the most polarity. It's not some technique I use, guys. I'm not like, I have never read a tantric book or whatever. I don't know any of that stuff, or like the magazines you see at like 7-Eleven with 10 tips on how to blow her mind. I don't know any of that stuff. But when I've created a lot of masculinity, I guess when I've exuded those traits around you a lot, you keep falling into your feminine, and then there's been a little bit of space, right, for that sexual tension. It's like it's pretty magical.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking for. You're not don't stop trying to band-aid this. Go after your health and your body and your mindset. Boost your masculinity and watch her femininity just like happen. She wants that. Most women want that. They might be hesitant because of a protective mechanism of the masculine side of them helps, right? But eventually they're gonna drop their guard.
Yeah.
Cool. This was fun.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks.
Okay, so we're gonna have a round 2. Okay. Are you down?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Send in more questions.
Yeah, send in more questions, definitely. And thank you guys for listening. This was fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, you know what to do, and ladies, thank you for listening. We will see you guys soon.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Muscular Gentleman. Finally, a podcast that's unapologetic for being a man. Thanks for joining us this week. Make sure you visit the website, www.themusculargentleman.com. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you like the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or just tell a buddy about the show. That would help too. Don't forget, Rustin is available for private coaching. Embrace your masculinity and live the life you've always wanted. See you next time on The Muscular Gentleman.